This better be good.
Good morning, Agent Rinn. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to travel to Egypt and obtain the golden cat statue of Bastet from the lost tomb of Saqqara, otherwise known as the Tomb of the Golden Cat. For this mission and all future missions, you will assume the identity of NicGyver. Inside the envelope, you will find everything you need for your upcoming mission. This ancient artifact holds immense historic and cultural significance. Your investigation and its retrieval is crucial to confirm once and for all the secrets to the construction of the ancient pyramids. Your journey will be perilous, but you're our best operative. You will face obstacles, traps, and adversaries determined to thwart your mission. Exercise caution and rely on your skill to overcome any challenges. We have also arranged an undercover informant that will meet you upon your immediate arrival into Egypt. We find that he has a very select set of skills that we hope will steer you in the right direction. You have limited time. The fate of this artifact hangs in the balance. As usual, should you be captured or compromised, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. Good luck, NicGyver. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
How were they built? What was the purpose of such a design? Why would somebody or something go through such great lengths to build something of such size and structure only to bury their deceased there? Join me while I journey the desert in search for answers and explore for the truth in finding and solving the mysteries of Egypt. My quest to discover the truth to these ancient mysteries began way before I became a secret agent for the IMF. It started by accident back in 1995. I was a soldier in the U.S. Army. Our unit had been deployed to Egypt for Operation Bright Star. This was a multinational training mission that included military forces from 5 countries: the U.S., Egypt, Britain, France, and the United Arab Emirates. They had us stationed in the middle of BFE, living in tents and eating MREs. Our vehicles didn't have AC, not even the Humvees, which are the Army's version of an SUV. You'd have to create your own shade using an AVLB. Most of my time was spent operating a C. We spent 2 months training in the African desert heat, and when they offered a day trip into Cairo, I couldn't get on the bus fast enough. They took us to the pyramids of Giza, where I got my first chance to ride a camel. Despite it producing a once-in-a-lifetime historical photo, the experience was not exactly something I would ever want to do again. We got to see the Sphinx and the museum that had King Tut's mask. We even had the pleasure of eating at Pizza Hut. Yeah, you think it's bizarre to finally get a chance to eat one traditional meal in the country of Egypt and you pick Italian food? Try eating nothing but MREs and field chow for 6 weeks and we'll see where your taste buds are at. That was the best pepperoni pizza I've ever had. And for the record, pizza was invented in Greece, not Italy. Now that I finally had to return almost 30 years later, I had to go undercover so I didn't look like a special agent. I decided the easiest way to do this was dress up like a tourist from America. This would be the easiest way to blend in with the locals. I started my research about 460 kilometers southeast of Cairo in a town called Hurghada. Hurghada has a population of about 100,000 people and is located on the edge of the Red Sea. I wanted to get a sense of the culture and the people in a town about the size of my hometown. I spent the first day touring the desert in search of clues and evidence, staying focused on the mission. How did they build the pyramids? If the ancient ancestors did build the pyramids, would their descendants still be in the area? Would I be able to learn from them? Did stories get passed down from generation to generation? I had to find out. I started by going on safari out in the desert in hopes of finding some answers. They put us on four-wheelers that looked pretty rough. There was no helmets issued, no instruction, just here, get on these wheelers, stay in a single file line and follow me. No waiver, no nothing. Basically, I learned that the only rules in Egypt are, there are no rules. We rode those long enough to snap a few photos, test our new fancy scarves that were worn to protect us from the sun and dust, and then it was on to the side-by-sides. All of us were guided over to these machines that instantly gave me a surreal Mad Max kind of vibe. These things were rough looking, but now I was excited because I didn't have to drive. I could relax and try to come up with a plan for my next move. Luckily, we were only on those long enough to capture some film and photos, see the old prison, and be thankful we had an armed guard with us that was packing what looked to me like an Uzi under his suit jacket. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, they crammed us into the back of these Land Cruisers so tight it felt like I was in a cattle truck again. They drove us about 20 minutes through the desert till we got to the edge of a giant hillside and what looked like rugged mountain terrain that continued for miles beyond where we could see. This place was mind-blowing. I didn't know exactly what was about to happen, but I felt like I was walking onto the set of the game show Survivor. The tour guide took us into what appeared to be a staging area for tourists. This is the best way I can describe it. He would explain to us some traditional Egyptian cultural practices and laws of the country. He told us about the Bedouins, the people we were about to meet. He explained that they're like nomads and originally from Saudi Arabia and not Egyptians. Oh, look, a cat. Oh, a couple cats. And they seem friendly. Come here, little buddy. The Bedouins choose to live a primitive lifestyle and stay very secluded from the general population. They actually live beyond this village and over the hills. This is just where they come to show tourists a sample of their way of life and make a few bucks.
Don't know what name in English is service, but camel's milk and another thing like to give nice. كام هنا الأسعار؟ all bracelet here hand is
The first thing they like to show you is their camels and offer a ride. Now, I've already ridden a camel, and my first experience wasn't exactly that pleasant. But for the sake of fitting in with the other tourists, I had to go for another round. All right. I haven't ridden a camel since 1995 in Cairo. Now I'm riding one just outside of Hurghada with our group, and it's pretty nice. It's a nice, pleasant area out here. You can see the villages in the distance here where people live, and this is where they show the tourists their way of life and the camels and whatnot. Super cool. This one's making some noises. The Bedouins would escort you about 75 meters and turn around and take you right back. It was actually the perfect amount of time to get your photos and say you rode a camel, then bounce on to the next. Later that evening, back at the Crystal Safari headquarters, I got to watch some traditional Egyptian dancers perform, and it was really fascinating to see. One male dancer performed a traditional Tanar dance, and all I could think about was the Wheel of Fortune, or misfortune, however you look at it. Although it kind of made me dizzy just watching him, it was still very impressive. And then a belly dancer came and did her performance, and it was fantastic. The entire crowd loved watching her dance, and so did a local cat who was so impressed it had to get on stage for a closer look. My last day in Hurghada, I took a bus tour of the city that included several stops of local tourist attractions. Trying to understand the Egyptian culture and the people was my ultimate goal. We took a walk through the local fish market, and yes, it smells just like any other fish market in the world. Absolutely delicious. We were able to catch a Muslim mosque during prayer time. With Islam being the state religion of Egypt, it makes up about 90% of the population. The next largest group being Coptic Orthodox Christian. Although I couldn't understand what they were saying, it put a smile on my face to see these kids singing and clapping and enjoying their time at their place of worship. Now it was time to head north and finish my mission in the city of Cairo. I had the map and the key. I just hoped the golden cat would still be in the lost tomb of Saqqara and that I would make it there before someone else. I had to time this perfectly so as not to be noticed by the authorities. With a population of about 20 million, Cairo sits along the Nile River in the northeastern part of Egypt, mostly known for its ancient ruins and antiquities. Tourism makes up about 10 to 15% of its economy. In a city of this size, getting from point A to point B can become quite interesting. I started my research at the Outdoor Museum in Memphis. Memphis was the original capital city of the Old Kingdom in Egypt. Thousands of statues and artifacts have been recovered from the remnants of this ancient city. Most notable, a few giant statues of King Ramses II, more commonly referred to as Ramses the Great. Having been the ruler for about 66 years, Ramses the Great is regarded as one of the greatest and most powerful pharaohs in Egyptian history. Building numerous temples and statues all over Egypt, fighting in multiple wars, and fathering 90 children are just few of his notable accomplishments. After his 66-year reign as the pharaoh of the New Kingdom, Ramses passed away in the year 1213 BC at the age of 90. Now it was time to take the bus and watch the driver battle the traffic again. I felt like I was on the set of an Indiana Jones movie with tuk-tuks on the loose, swooping this way and that, as if I were right in the middle of a chase scene. We followed the canal out past the farmlands until I could see the sandy hillside of a plateau up ahead, and it looked like the line of where palm trees and farm fields meets desert. And there it was. This is the Pyramid of Saqqara, the oldest pyramid in Egypt. It was built in about 2700 BC. It took them about 20 years to build this pyramid. It's also referred to as a step pyramid, and there are several of these types throughout the country of Egypt. As I stand here and look at this massive pyramid behind me of Saqqara, I'm trying to visualize what it must have looked like and sounded like while thousands of Egyptians over 4,000 years ago were building this and chiseling away at rocks, climbing up the sides, placing each individual stone in place to create what you see today. Just a stone's throw from the big step pyramid is several smaller, less elaborate pyramids. Beneath those structures are multiple tombs that are highly decorated in statues, carvings, and hieroglyphs. The ancient Egyptians were very meticulous with their carvings and writings, documenting everything. You can tell a lot about the people mummified and buried in these tombs just by the writings on the wall. You can tell if a person is of significant power, or just an average person, or perhaps of some sort of religious significance. These are like historical documents that tell stories of the past and leave clues for future generations to study and hopefully one day solve some of the greatest mysteries of the world. The Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Standing over 145 meters tall, or 450 feet, this is the largest pyramid ever discovered in Egypt. Built for the pharaoh King Khufu during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom around 2600 BC, this massive structure consists of over 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks weighing over 2 tons each. To level the ground and build ramps from the Nile River to the construction site took about 10 years and another 20 years to complete the assembly of this pyramid. Some of the stones used were quarried from 960 kilometers or 560 miles away. In 2024, with the use of core drilling, satellite imagery, and modern technology, scientists discovered remnants of the ancient Ashram branch of the Nile River. This branch was significantly closer to the pyramids than today's existing branch and would help explain how ancient Egyptians could have used boats to transport the giant blocks to the pyramid sites. From there, it would have been the task of tens of thousands of laborers to tow, push, pull, or slide the massive stones into position. Egyptologists estimate they would have had to set approximately 300 blocks a day to complete this in the 20-year time period they predict it took them to accomplish this daunting task. To this day, no one has actually proven exactly how these enormous structures were built. Located just a few hundred meters from the Great Pyramid is another mystery of Egypt that has baffled scientists for centuries: the Great Sphinx of Giza. A limestone statue and the largest of its kind, with the head of a human and a body of a lion, the Sphinx is a mythical creature that some say was put here to stand guard over the pyramids. For years, archaeologists thought this iconic statue was built about 4500 BC, but recent studies of wind and water erosion at the base of the Sphinx suggest that this could be far older, and some scientists and Egyptologists believe now that it could be as old as 7000 BC. With just one day remaining before I would have to leave Egypt and head to my next mission, I donned my state-of-the-art spy glasses and headed for the Cairo Museum. Established in 1858, the museum in Cairo has housed over 100,000 artifacts from all over the country. Statues, carvings, jewelry, paintings, and hieroglyphs are among the many displays that offer a glimpse into the past and help offer insight into the true origins of ancient Egypt and all of its unsolved mysteries. During my tour, I noticed several things that stood out. Statues that resembled aliens with large heads and prominent eyes. Could these sculptures be evidence of other life forms, possibly from another planet? Were the pyramids built by an advanced life form that traveled here from outer space? Maybe giants that used to live amongst us thousands of years ago, and they had the strength to move such large blocks with ease. Therefore, there was no need to document the construction process. Another theory that caught my eye while studying hieroglyphs was the possibility of time travelers. Is it possible Einstein was absolutely correct and time travel is possible? And several thousand years ago, time travelers came from the future and used their modern technology to construct the pyramids? How else can you explain this drawing of a boombox from the 1980s? Or this modern-looking elevator? And perhaps one of the most intriguing discoveries of ancient Egypt, the tomb of King Tutankhamun. Now technically, the museum's security staff does not allow cameras or photographs of King Tut's burial relics, his mask, or sarcophagus. But with any luck, my disguise and spy glasses will enable me to document these incredible historical treasures. All I have to do is... no. Yes, I'm in. These luxurious ancient artifacts from around 1325 BC are some of the most mind-blowing of all. The amount of gold and jewelry found in his tomb in 1922 is said to be worth $1 billion. Extremely detailed and pristine, they look as though they were made just yesterday by the most prestigious artists in the world. Now that I've pushed my luck and filmed something that is forbidden, it was time to take what I've learned from seeing thousands of artifacts and thousands of years of history and make a break for the lost tomb of Saqqara. I left the museum and met with my informant that was assigned to help me make this historic recovery. With any luck, I would secure the Golden Cat and the secrets to the Great Pyramids by sundown. We grabbed the necessary supplies and headed west, deep into the desert. It was now or never, as I could sense we were being followed. There it is.
How are we gonna get in?
Oh, Nick, what is it?
It's nothing. Wait here.
As you wish. Nick, what is it?
It's gibberish.
Nick.
Wait here.
As you wish.
Oh.
Great work, NicGyver.
Thank you.
Judging by the seismic activity readings, you were successful. However, we are not finished. This is your next mission, should you choose to accept it.